What up? I'm Josh Paulison, and welcome to my programming vlog. So I talked a bit about video earlier, but now I want to talk about that whole nasty problem where in Safari it gives you crap because it says, hey, you tried to set the current time on a video file or on an audio file, but, well, you see, we just loaded the data and we decided to put it back at time 0 instead of keeping it where you asked. I hope that you appreciate that. This is annoying. So I am going to show you that here I have bookmarking set to autosave, so this should work. But if I refresh the web page, it ends up going back to the beginning. Now I've added a variable called loaded data, and as you'll see here, this will work this time. There, now I refreshed it, and autosave was still on, and it ended up going to the correct place. So what is loaded data? Well, there's an event listener for video and audio called loaded data. And loaded data says, hey, we have loaded enough to kind of know the basics about this video or audio clip. So it ends up going, okay, well, we know that we have this amount of time. I assume that loaded data has loaded at this point the length of the audio or video clip. And so it says, okay, well, we have loaded this. I guess that we can end up setting the current time because we actually know that we have that time available. If you try to set the current time before loaded data runs, my guess as to what happens is that the video or audio file goes, wait a second, we don't have any time because we haven't loaded the data for time, so we have 0 time. So if you try to go to 5 seconds in, there is no 5 seconds in, there is no 5 minutes in, there is no hour in, there's only 0. So you end up going to 0. Now if you end up trying to set it afterwards, sometimes it'll end up still kind of glitching up in other browsers. I'm trying to remember exactly what happened. I actually have a Stack Overflow answer about it that talks about the troubles that I ran into a bit and how that ended up working out. If I end up going down to, no, it's not that one. It's current time not setting properly on iPhone. And this is where, if you're curious, you can check out the answer with HTML video, current time not setting properly on iPhone. So what we end up doing over here, though, is we have a loaded data variable, and it starts being false. Once loaded data has run, we set it to true. And at this point, we end up setting the current time of the audio to another current time variable that says we should be at this time. We now know how long the video is, so if it's 5 minutes and we try to go to minute 3, it's not going to say, wait, nothing exists, and set us back to 0. It's actually going to take us to the correct time. And when loaded data is true, then on time update, which can run before loaded data hits, it appears. If we have loaded the data, then we can set the current time to the audio's time. Here's what will happen if we don't. Time update will run before we actually know the length of the file. At least this is my theory as to how this works. We will run time update, the event, before we actually know the length of the file. And we end up saying, well, the time updated, so we need to update the current time value. We need to say, hey, the current time for this file overall, it is equal to the current time of the audio. But the problem is that the audio's time is 0 because it does not have anything more than 0. It doesn't have 3 minutes, 3 hours, whatever. That would be a long video clip. So instead it sets it to 0 because the current audio's time has to be 0 because there's no length to it. So if you have time update and you are setting a variable based on time update, you need to make sure that loaded data has run, or else this will not work. So the loaded data event is very important in order to get your videos to start at a point other than 0 and for it to work across browsers.